Okay, it's happened, people. Apple has finally cracked open its App Store. Not completely, but this is the biggest overhaul of the App Store we've seen literally ever. Let me summarize the headlines and then dive quick into each detail. First, Apple announced support for alternative app marketplaces in the EU, charging a 0% commission and a 50-cent core technology fee per install per account annually. We knew that was coming. They had to get ahead of the DMA changes in the EU. Second, Apple plans to allow third-party default browsers and web engines, including Chrome, in the EU with iOS 17.4, prompting users on the first launch of Safari. Now, again, Apple won't offer these App Store updates, quote, outside of the EU because this is not the safest system for our users, end quote, and highlights, quote, new threats the DMA introduces. But I believe this part is global. Apple will also begin allowing game streaming apps and services worldwide, meaning Xbox Cloud Streaming, NVIDIA GeForce Now, and others will be able to offer full apps. Let's start with the EU stuff, quoting MacRumors. Alternative app marketplaces will function as an iOS app that is able to install other iOS apps on an iPhone or iPad. Any developer can create an app marketplace so long as they meet Apple's criteria for customer experience, fraud prevention, customer support, and more. Apple is creating new APIs to build marketplaces on iOS to distribute apps to users. In the EU, when an app developer submits an app to Apple for distribution, they can choose the App Store or any alternative app marketplaces. This includes distribution through multiple alternative app marketplaces or through both the App Store and an app marketplace. Apps installed through alternative app stores will need to go through a notarization process that includes safety and security checks, which is how Mac apps work. Apple will not charge a commission on apps installed through alternative marketplaces, nor will it charge commission for alternative payment systems, which are also allowed under the App Store updates in the European Union. Developers can integrate an alternative payment processor into their app that allows a user to make a purchase and check out entirely in-app, or developers can link out to their websites where users can make a purchase. While there are no commissions for alternative app marketplaces and alternative payment systems, there is a core technology fee that is 50 cents per install per account on an annual basis. The first 1 million installs are free for all developers, but after 1 million installs, the fee comes into play. App developers who choose to continue to distribute under the App Store will pay Apple reduced commissions with new terms. Apple is dropping the 30% commission to 17%, and the 15% commission paid for subscriptions over a year old or by small businesses will drop to 10%. Apple says the vast majority of apps will qualify for the 10% rate. Developers have a choice between opting into the new business terms in the EU or sticking with the App Store terms as they are today. Developers who choose to maintain the status quo will pay the fees they pay now, 15 to 30% commission. Developers who opt for the updated business terms will pay the reduced commissions, will have access to alternative app stores, and will also be subject to the core technology fee. There is also an additional 3% payment processing fee for those who choose to continue to use Apple's integrated payment system rather than an alternative payment system under the new terms, end quote. On to the web browsers, again, only for the EU, quoting 9to5Mac. Third-party browsers have been a thing on the App Store for ages, but links always open in Safari by default. Some developers have workarounds that let you see other browsers like Chrome as your browser when opening links within their apps, but it's not system-wide. Starting with iOS 17.4, launching Safari for the first time will prompt users to set a default browser. Third-party browser examples include Microsoft Edge, Brave, Firefox, Google Chrome, Opera, and DuckDuckGo. This will effectively let users interact with third-party browsers on the same level as Safari. Like with Mail, the key behavior change when setting a default browser is how it affects links. Third-party browsers to date have had control over appearance and feature sets, but the WebKit engine behind Safari was the only web engine approved by Apple. Chrome, for example, only uses WebKit on iOS. Blink is the web engine used by Chrome on all other platforms. As part of iOS 17.4, Apple is introducing new APIs that will enable developers to take advantage of these new features, including in-app browsers. Customers in the United States and other countries not in the EU will continue with the status quo, no third-party default browsers, and no alternative web engines, end quote. And finally, on to the game streaming apps, which again will be global, quoting The Verge. Starting today, Apple is opening up the App Store to allow game streaming apps and services. This means that services like Xbox Cloud Streaming and GeForce Now, which previously were only accessible on iOS via a web browser, will be able to offer full-featured apps. Developers can now submit a single app with the capability to stream all of the games offered in their catalog, Apple wrote in a blog post. These changes apply, quote, worldwide, according to the company. In 2020, Apple appeared to have carved out a space for these cloud gaming services in the App Store, but that turned out not to be the case, as all games available through each service had to be submitted and reviewed as a standalone app. So the shift to allow one app with a large catalog of games marks a major change. As part of today's announcement, Apple said that, quote, each experience made available in an app on the App Store will be required to adhere to all App Store review guidelines, and its host app will need to maintain an age rating of the highest age-rated content included in the app, end quote. Apple also says that developers will now, quote, be able to provide enhanced discovery opportunities for streaming games, mini-apps, mini-games, chatbots, and plugins that are found within their apps, and that, quote, mini-apps, mini-games, chatbots, and plugins will be able to incorporate Apple's in-app purchase system to offer their users paid digital content or services for the first time, such as a subscription for an individual chatbot, end quote.